Hello, I am author Francis A. McAllister, and I'm here to review Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian. This is my first Cormac McCarthy book, and I really have to say, it's very well done. This man can write his ass off. I really enjoyed this book. I'm going to give you guys a rating of what I think of it at the end out of 5 stars. Okay? Now, I almost didn't finish this book. The middle of this book really slogged on for me. And I just had to keep telling myself, it's going to get better, it's going to get better. This is on purpose. He's being slow for a reason. He's just going through the everyday life of a scalper. Back in the day, what history books don't really like to talk about is the carnage and all of the violence, the mindless, careless violence back then. And this book goes into every detail of that. This is the most violent book I've ever read in my life. It's very disturbing. This book is not meant for everybody. Like, if you're a very squeamish person and violence or gore bothers you, there's also some things in here, animals and stuff. Like, if that bothers you as well, animals get hurt and stuff in this, and I didn't even care for that myself. It just goes to show the raw, just craziness, the literal Wild West. It was wild, and this blows all the romance and tropes of the Wild West, and this blows everything out of the water with a 22 barrel shotgun. I heard another YouTube creator describe this book, and he hit it right on the nail. Like, he said, this book, let me just try and really remember the words perfectly. This book is like a spaghetti western taking acid and basically hitting itself on the head with an encyclopedia. And that's a great description of this book. It's just like this weird fever dream of violence on every page. Now, I did find it very difficult to read. I thought some of it was a little pretentious. But at the same time, there would be some sentences and paragraphs that just moved me, blew me away. And then there'd be some other sentences where just overdrawn, long sentences, run-on sentences, and his writing style is very different from a lot of authors. He uses no punctuation, quotation marks, stuff like that. So it's hard sometimes to distinguish who is talking. There'd be a bunch of characters talking, and you don't know who's talking. Like, you gotta just try and figure that out in your head, right? And there are some complaints. Like I said, there's a slog in the middle where it's really slow. Like, they just ride on and ride on and ride on, You're like, I just get to the killing, more of that. And they get to it eventually. And, but then it gets, some parts of this book were, like, spoiler alert, okay? I'm going to stick my hand up when I say spoiler alert. Okay, spoiler alert. There's some stuff in here, like, the judge, okay? The judge just does most evil stuff. Like, he'll throw puppies in the river. he'll, he'll sodomize and he'll scalp children, and it's fucked up what this man, and not only what this man does, every character in this book is not a good person. And, that's something that's also different about this book. Everyone in this book, I didn't care for, like they were evil people. And that kind of goes to show more towards, not putting the American Midwest and the romantic idea of that. It kind of flips that on its head and scalps it. And shows more of the truth of what it was really like back then. And I gotta say, I'm gonna reread this because I feel like my tiny little brain couldn't, handle some of these big words in here. But after digesting this, like I finished this last night, and like I'd say the last half of the last part of the book, really picked up again. And there's some really good action in here, guys. It was just something like it's an anti-Western, and yeah, I probably would read more Cormac's work. There was a big part of this book though where I really was like, oh, get on with it. But I understand that you have to fill some pages, right? What would I give Blood Meridian out of 5 stars? I would give this an honest 3.5. I know some of you would be shocked it should be higher. I think that's a very fair rating. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to, because it was very, very challenging to read. And I mean, that's not a bad thing, don't get me wrong, but I read to have fun. This kind of felt almost like homework. It was a bit of a slog and chore to get through most of this book. But I want to reread it again and maybe get the things I missed on the first read. This is the most violent book I've ever read in my life. There are things in here that stuck with me and will never leave my mind. Like, almost traumatized me, actually. Like, there's some very disturbing stuff in this book. The judge is one of the most evil villains I've ever read in literature, and this is going to be in my bookshelf, and it's just going to be dripping of violence and blood every time I look at this thing. Cormac McCarthy did his job of really traumatizing me for sure. And I didn't like these characters. That's not a bad thing. You're a good writer if you are able to make the reader hate a character, and I hated some of these characters. They were evil people. And when they, some of them met their end, some of them didn't. I'm not going to spoil what happens. I don't want to tell what really happens much in this book. But there's a lot of stuff. And, a lot of messed up stuff happens in this. If you're a squeamish person, stay away from this book. There's also a lot of racial slurs in this book, which I wasn't surprised with. That's how they talked back then. But yeah, if that stuff offends you, stay away from this, because you're going to be very offended with this book. No one is safe in this, It's like in Red Dead Redemption when you just go blood drunk and just kill everything and just, you're on a rampage. This is a 400-page book, of them riding and riding with rampage everywhere and carnage. And it shines just a little bit of a light of what happened back then, I think. And the Glanton gang, the real Glanton gang, which were real, they make an appearance in this book, which is really cool. Yeah, read this book. This is a book that needs to be read. Will you like it? I'm not sure, but I think it's important. And it really expanded my brain. It was my reading muscles expanded reading this book. There was a lot of word sauce in this. A lot of people could say this is pretentious writing and all that, but really some really beautiful writing in here, you guys. So I give Blood Meridian 3.5 out of 5. The judge was, again, one of the most memorable villains ever written, I think. And yeah, just about the other characters, I don't even really want to go much about those other characters, because honestly, those characters just kind of serve the purpose of the judge, in my opinion. Without the judge in this book, I don't think I would have liked it as much. So read Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian when you get a chance. Try not to read it all in one go. It's going to hurt your brain. Take your time with it. Digest it. Reread a chapter if you struggled with it like I did. And yeah, you'll be proud to finish this, because not everyone has finished this book. A lot of people have put this on their DNF list because it offended them, or they couldn't handle the gore, the senseless gore. This is all this book is. No one is good in this, and the message of this book is war is God. And, that's it. So that's my book review for Cormac McCarthy.